utilize them. Now, I want to now just talk a little bit about useful approach. And there's two ways, if anybody's interested in gemstones, there's two ways to go about your approach to them. One is that there are plenty of books written and online. I mean, there's just unbelievable amount recently on gemstones. And you can find, and they all pretty much are correct. They all, I've looked at hundreds, if not more, of different sources, encyclopedias about gemstones, and they all pretty much agree with each other. So there is that canon of knowledge, and it's been written down, and you can use it as an apothecary, right? Well, I'm feeling down today. What are the gemstones that lift my spirit? Or I'm having an emotional moment. I've just split up with my husband or wife or girlfriend or whatever it is, or my kids are driving me crazy and I feel sick to my heart. You guys are laughing at that. You drive your parents crazy. I know. So, you want to look for something that will be a remedial for that. And so you can look in a book or an encyclopedia of stones and people's work on stones and find it. But the other way, which is just as valid, is that be in touch with your own intuition. And this is really where I think the lovely sort of delight of the stones comes from, can bring you this delight. And I know the proof of it, and I want to talk to you about the proof of that. So you'll have this canon of knowledge that you can use, and it's perfectly correct. You can use it and do it. And memorize, and there's 7 major stones, and I'll go through them in a minute, that are the most used stones for healing. And between those 7, you can pretty much covers most issues that you may have. Now, in my shop, I've watched, and this is something that I think also needs to be looked at, how it applies to the world we live in today. The rise of spiritual consciousness, the rise of Allah's decree upon this whole creation for Him to be known. It's not just the elite sort of business of Muslims. It's the entire universe is stamped with that. Every human being has that stamp within them in their spiritual DNA to be seeking truth, every single person. So people come into my shop. I've had it 20 years. In the beginning, I had mostly beads, silver and gold for people to make jewelry. And so everybody's at it. And then when I started adding gemstones and things and starting to talk about spiritual energy and healing and all that, they said, "Oh, David, you are out of your mind. You've lost it, right? We're never going to get into that. We want beads. Forget all this." Those very same people, like now, they come into my shop and go, "Oh, I'm feeling like crap today. I need some rose quartz to, Now, I'm making light of this, but what it indicates to me is that just like that and spirituality is the same. People in the arc of Allah's creational effulgence of evolution, there is a movement towards spiritual realization and spirituality, and it'll come in ways and in forms that we may not be used to, or that we're too closed and thinking we're the elite and we got a special corner on the market of spirituality that we won't be able to see. But it's there, and it doesn't just belong to us, so to speak. So people have been coming into my shop, coming back to self-diagnosis and in developing your intuition. They come in and they know what they're looking for. They've maybe read it in a book, but when they get to my shop, they're holding the thing that they had come in for, and then they're holding something that they were attracted to and compelled to, and they realize that the thing that they came in for is not what they really need, but it's the thing that they came in and acknowledged at that moment. So that hikmah, that knowledge, that wisdom is already within you before you read the book, right? Just like our teaching, our understanding of spiritual life is already within us before we read the book. So that's the human condition. So if you're interested in gemstones, I recommend that you read the books to get a baseline understanding and a basic sort of knowledge of and working knowledge of this, particularly the 7 most common stones. But it also get in touch with your own intuition. Come in to go if you want to know about, or you want to just like befriend a stone or something, or come in and vibe with a stone. Really, just go into a stone place, or order it online, and and experiment with your own. What is it bringing out in you? What are you reflecting in it? What is touching you about it? And you'll see that there is this thing. And now that I've been at this 20 years, and now my shop is 90%, well, about 80% stones and all of these things, I see that most people now are that's where they're going. They come in, I have people come in, they spend hours in my store, and they're walking around, feeling. And people make fun of it, and they say, oh, look at these crazies. They're saying that. It's not crazy. It's not crazy. They are really trying to understand themselves, trying to get in touch with themselves, And we mustn't just dismiss it as some sort of like psychosis or, it's not that. It's a reality. And so in this, I hope that if you do become interested in stones, and particularly I would recommend the stones, the prophetic stones, because there's something I think special about them on a general level, which is I think things like akik and feroza and diamonds, but not the kind of diamonds, you'd have to find, because most diamonds today are it's better to find a cheap diamond is just as good as energetically as an expensive one.
The bigger the better, right?
The bigger the better, of course. And the more expensive they are, the energy is high. I'm sure you, yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm gonna, while you're saying something, I'm gonna look for these 7 stones.
What's your opinion on the energy that comes from like blood diamonds or stones that have been taken from the earth?
Yeah.
Like wrongly.
Well, I think in your question is the answer. Really. We all know that. Blood. I think if you don't, this young lady's referencing blood diamonds. It's because diamonds from mostly from West Africa, Sierra Leone, and places like that. Yeah, these places. There's been a horrible, all I can call it is a rape and abuse of the resources of Africa. They started with the who are those people? The De Beers company and what's his name? Rhodes, Cecil Rhodes, and all of them. They came in. I visited the Kimberley mine. The Kimberley mine is a huge volcanic spout that came from the deep of the earth, it was loaded with diamonds. They took, in less than a century, they took $20 billion of diamonds. South Africa. They took $20 billion worth of materials out of that. And when I went to the town of Kimberley, $20 billion, and there was no schools were a mess. There's no hospitals. People were living in shacks, and this is it's changed a little bit in the last 10 years or so, but not because of the diamonds. It's because of just people's ingenuity and economic development. But while they were there, the De Beers people just took whatever they could and exported it to Britain mostly, and then to the United States. I'll just touch a little bit on this. How much time do I have left?
You have started a bit late, so we have like 30 minutes.
Oh, 30 minutes. I don't know if I can fill all that up.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah,
15 minutes.
15
Okay,
minutes, yeah.
I'll talk faster.
Okay.
All right. So the De Beers company, and this is something you should all know also, the De Beers company, the Russians, the Australians, I'm probably missing somebody here, they all found diamonds in different places around the world, but they all did the same sort of miserable thing, is that they took and they didn't give, and they caused havoc wherever they went. And particularly in West Africa, they fomented revolution and they make people separate from each other by, creating an elite of diamond hunters and diamond generals and presidents who had control of the diamond mines, and then they created a workforce of slaves and then they rose up and they had a revolution against them and fought, and so De Beers funded both sides, right? So they would kill each other, and they would buy arms, and the way they would buy arms is through diamonds, selling it to De Beers, and De Beers would give them the money and the connections to buy arms. And that's why they're called blood diamonds, because they are just truly that. And I wouldn't go near those diamonds, because they, of course, yes, they do carry the imprint of oppression. It's karmically speaking, energetically speaking, they are. That's what they are. Now, how do you tell the difference? Now, De Beers was very sneaky. Just about 20 years ago, they said they're going to put an atomic level mark in the diamonds that are not connected with, these type of blood and revolutions and murder and all this. But it's De Beers doing it. They're the ones who's, so they're, on one hand they're killing you, on the other hand they're taking your money and making you feel good, right? It's crazy. They also, remember, another thing is that diamonds are a fantasy wealth. 99% of all diamonds are worthless. They're worthless. Really, I mean it, they're worthless. Why do they have such value? Because they hoard tons of diamonds in caves and warehouses in Australia, in England, in the United States, and in Russia. That's the one I missed. If Russia and Australia release just 5% of their supply, the diamond market of the world will be pennies on the dollar, be worthless. Diamonds as a commodity is only valuable because of withholding the supply and the control. It's a monopoly. And you can look this up, it's absolutely true. Now, are there some diamonds, now we're talking about valuable, there are diamonds that are valuable, and they're the rare diamonds. They're the champagne color ones, the blue, the red, the pink diamonds that are 2-3 carats and above, and the clarity of them are high clarity, BVS1, which means very, very slightly included, first level. Those are valuable. Those can be $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a carat. In the gem world, the true value of gemstones are in sapphires and in emeralds and true rubies, because they're the ones that are really rare. And you can't, they can't synthesize them to be a replica. I mean, you can, but they're too good to be true. So if you ever see a ruby, it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true. Period. So that's on that level. Yeah. I think I was going to say something. Oh yeah, just keep in mind, diamonds became popular as a wedding ring thing, right? Mainly because of Marilyn Monroe. Right? Marilyn Monroe was paid $2 million, and the entire movie production of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend was paid for by the De Beers company, so that she would come on, in her very alluring way, and tell everybody that diamonds are a girl's best friend, right? And that's why, people bought into it, and women bought into it, and men bought into it. you know, and but most of them are really just useless, really, and not valuable, essentially, you know, especially these chain stores. Okay, I'm going to go through 7 stones very briefly, and we could. I'm able to send this to people if they want it, but it's very easily available. So the first stone I want to go with is the most popular stone of all healing stones is amethyst. So the amethyst goes back, became popular among the Greeks. And the Greeks and the Persians, let's see here, and the Ayurvedics believed that it was to protect you against drunkenness. But the footnote here is that it's more than just drunkenness. It's not being together, you know, not having focus, and being affected by, you know, whatever it is, wine or your own ego or whatever it is. It's something which raises your consciousness to get beyond your waywardness. And it's also associated with the crown chakra, right, as spiritual growth. The color also, generally speaking, in esoteric Christianity, you know, you always see sometimes in the iconography of the Catholic Church and other Anglican Church, you know, the high priest, they wear purple, you know, and sometimes you see that beautiful white blonde Jesus, you know, the one that's Jesus, you know, he's wearing a purple thing matching his hairdo. So the background of that, it's used in, again, it's used in calming, and especially in meditative practices. Now I can attest to that because I have some beautiful amethysts where I sit in a room where I do meditation, and I look at them, and it's not like they're putting me in a meditative state. No, but they just look at me and go, hey, you know, we're all here for you, and you know, and I have a conversation instantly with them. So it's emotional balance and clarity of mind, and basically, if anybody is prone to drunkenness, it's a good thing here to have amethyst. The second one is clear quartz. Clear quartz is a lot. There's a lot going on with clear quartz. Clear quartz is throughout history and civilization, it's all about clarity. And the main thing it's about is energy amplification, because clear quartz is something you can use with any other stone and it magnifies it. Now, how does it magnify that? I don't know, and I don't think anybody has come up with a reason, an understanding of it, but it just does. And so the Ayurvedic in particular, when they give women a Ayurvedic necklace to wear when they're pregnant, they make sure that every stone is followed by a clear quartz stone. So it's an aventurine and a clear quartz. It's a rose quartz and then a clear quartz. And then Imam Ali wore what's called the Dhul Negev, which is a clear quartz. And if you just think about it, clear quartz. We all want to be clear and steadfast in our clarity. And that also, its use is for amplifying. And it's also used in meditation practices, in healing practices, and it's known as the master healer, clear quartz, in that it's used all across all cultures, and it's used for the same purpose everywhere. It's believed that it enhances spiritual awareness and it amplifies the energy of other gemstones, as we said. The next one is a very, very favorite of everyone, particularly women. That's my experience shows me that. Men sometimes look at it and go, I don't need that, you know. That's what it is, because it's, Okay, so rose quartz is like if you're heartbroken, you've had a relationship which has, gone bad, and you feel upset about it. So rose quartz has a long history of being associated with love, compassion on its highest level, and a mediation of hurt and disappointment in relationship. It also promotes self-love, and it helps in romantic love and to heal emotional healing and to have more balanced emotions in relationships. Then we have, is number 4, we have sodalite. Sodalite is very prolific in the subcontinent, also in South America and in Madagascar. Oh, and this is something else just to keep in mind. It's really interesting. There once was Pangea. All the continents were together in one place. So there was this tectonic thing that happened over, I don't know, maybe 1 billion years, I'm not sure. And so you find sodalite, Wars quartz, all these 7 are in all these places like South America, like particularly Brazil and Argentina. And then you find it in southern Africa and in other places. And then in Madagascar. Madagascar is one huge treasure chest of gemstones. So the history of sodalite has been prized in ancient times. It's considered one of the oldest recognized stone for healing, and mainly its uses for calming, soothing. It has soothing effect. It's often that we couldn't connect it. If someone can show Sheikh Hamdi that it's promoting of self-expression and clear communication. Some of its cultural sort of applications, it was used a lot by indigenous cultures, particularly here the Amazonian culture, the culture of the Khoi people in Africa, and the people of Madagascar, the tribal people of Madagascar. It was used for centuries for its connection to intuition and spiritual guidance. Many of the shamans of these places would use in their rock collection, when they threw stones down, they would use the sodalite. And that it stimulates the third eye chakra to enhance spiritual opening and mental clarity. Then we have number 5 is citrine. Now, citrine is a golden color, beautiful stone. And I'm going to tell you a little interesting thing about citrine. Is the son and daughter of amethyst. And its mother is amethyst. Citrine's mother is amethyst, and I'll come to that in a minute. The history of citrine has been associated with wealth, prosperity, abundance, and it's again used for millennia throughout history. It's often used to attract success, positive energy, transformative energy. It's in its cultural application. It's been in ancient Greece. It was used quite a bit, and in Rome as part of the talismans. So they would etch talismans in citrine and wear it on their body. Again, it was mostly used eventually because of the wealth. Give me anything that gives me more money, right? I'll take it, right? That's sort of the energy that it became in, but of course it's much more. It's way much more. Citrine is also believed to carry the energy of the sun, and it brings warmth and vitality in people who wear it. Just a note now on citrine. All citrine starts its life out as amethyst. Yeah, that's why part of it's transformative. How does this happen? Amethyst, its chemical makeup is nearly the same as citrine. But when it's exposed to heat and pressure, thermal heat over millennia, it starts to transform from amethyst to citrine. Amethyst will become citrine. And its in-between stage, it's called ametrine. And those, if you've ever seen them, they're just beautiful. They're purple, and then it goes into gold, and it may go back into purple again. Why? Because the heat and the pressure has waved through the centuries, through certain stones and caused a ripple effect in its intensity, so that it appears to have both, but they're one with each other, one from the other. And the final two that are from the 7 that are the most popular is the history. Jade is like so prolific, especially in China, Burma, Vietnam, all the Southeast Asian countries and so on. Jade has been revered by, again, they're repeating it here, East Asian cultures for thousands of years for the beauty and healing properties. It's often associated with longevity, prosperity, and wisdom. Its cultural background, used by the Chinese in particular for its protective and purifying qualities. Jade is believed to promote harmony, balance, both on the physical and spiritual level. Real sort of fine jade is very valuable. There's a jade has a huge spectrum, but the real sort of pure green colored jade, it could be up to like $5,000 to $10,000 for 1 gram, which is a gram's not a lot. Now most jade isn't that expensive; it's very inexpensive. But this green jade, the refined jade, is very, very rare. And then finally, we come back to where we started, which was the history of turquoise. And this was, again, as we said in the beginning, prized by Native American cultures for its connection to the earth and the sky. It's often used for protection, healing, spiritual purification, and uplifting a depressed mind. Cultural background, considered in the culture, most cultures considered it a sacred stone. And that's why it was used so much in altars, and shamans used it in their adornments and in their ceremonies. And wherever you go in the southeast where there's Buddhism, or there's a whole jade temple, or we're talking about turquoise now, but you're quite right about the jade temple. But turquoise is it's just one of those that has that universal love and is associated with spirituality. And then its culture, in the sense of where it was mostly used, is considered, again, sacred, especially by worldwide indigenous tribes. Turquoise is believed to bring good fortune, ward off negative energy, and is also used in traditional Native American jewelry and art, as we said. Now I want to add, this is 7, but I want to add one more, which I think really needs to be spoken about, is amber. Right? Amber is not a stone, it's a petrified sap, right? And amber is just as much used in Native American culture, in Ayurvedic medicine, in Chinese medicine, as any of the other materials. And amber is very special because it's a transformative material. It's sap that has transmuted into something else. It's petrified, and in that petrification, it has an energetic value which is used for the absorption of negative energy. So you find a lot of healers. I met many in my travels who they all wore, especially in Africa, sorry, I don't want to cover the microphone. They all wore amber. And there's a lot of amber tesbih also. And, it's healers wore it, or teachers wore it, because they, of every type, because people would come to them with all kinds of negativity, and somehow this amber was a collector of negativity. And then what you do with it is after you wear it and you've been exposed to negativity, is you bury it in the ground, or in salt, or in sand, or espresso. It's true. I mean, I'm telling you that I wasn't making that up. You bury it in something which it hides it, and it takes away the negativity. Like a good cup of coffee, I think sometimes.
Then you use it again.
Then you use it again. It's cleared out. And the other one I want to mention is selenite. Selenite is found a lot in Morocco in particular, and it's a decharging. So if you ever have a stone that you want to clear, and all what I'm saying now, it requires its own unpacking. But there's a whole science of stones that they may become polluted energetically, or stuffed with wrong negativity or whatever. They need to be cleared. So you can put it on a slab of selenite or in sand or in the sun. It's like making something tahir. If something has been exposed to najasat, right, it can be cleared and cleaned by the sun, for instance. It's the same concept. It clears it, it makes it. So selenite is one of those that helps to do that. So I want to end here by just reiterating that, coming back to the original point that I made, that I think is, to me, pivotal, is that the relationship we have with the gemstones is very much like the relationship we have inwardly with the gems that Allah has put in our hearts and in our being, and they need to come into the light, and that's what our deen is about, is bringing out and reflecting and having them emerge and purified in our being to the representatives of the one light, multiplied in the emanations of the Asma Husna and the Sifat of Allah and the good qualities of the human being, because we all are really constructed to be the Khalifa of Allah, and therefore the idea is that we all can become emanators and fulfill what Allah says in the first ayah of the Quran at the end in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. From what we've given you, you give out. And what He's given us means He's already given it. If you also need to do certain things, but you intrinsically, basically, you have it already within you to be a conduit of that. And the message of stones, I think, is connected very seamlessly to that reality. Okay, one question.
Can you please explain? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Can you please explain why some people charge their gemstones with moonlight?
Yeah, I mean, I can't explain it entirely, but it makes sense if you think about it. Moonlight, light of the moon, has a certain vibrational quality. And certain stones absorb, just like amber absorbs negativity. Other stones can absorb other energetic realities that are around them. Everything is interconnected, and we all reflect. I mean, you all know this. If you're in a room with an angry person, you feel their anger. So stones are the same thing. You expose them to moonlight, and they have, even a human being. You know why the moon is called the lunar orb? Because and the word lunacy comes from the moon, lunar, because we're in a full moon. We're connected with we feel it. I mean, I don't know if you must have experimented with this in your life, where you maybe in a full moon you may feel a little bit more agitated than you do on a waning moon or a new moon. I mean, sometimes you look at a new moon and you go, ah, and you look at a full moon and you go, oh God, is that werewolf coming out from me? It's just the natural thing. We mustn't. I'm promoting this whole idea. We mustn't get too academic. That's not the word I'm looking for, but trust our own minds about these things and our hearts, and see that all these things make sense. You know what I mean? Okay. Is that all right?
Yes.
Let's say a Fatiha before we end. Oh, okay, one more question.
Last question.
Sorry.
Your store, you still have store? Is it around?
I do, yeah.
Where is it? Or
In
what-
Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
It's called Rare Earth Beads and Crystals. And I have it online also at rareearthcrystals.com. And I have a lot of this information there and things like that I referenced here today.
Do you happen to have Tespi, the metastones?
Yeah, I make custom-made tespis for people that have different stones, like turquoise or amber or sodalite or whatever. Yeah, we do that. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ehdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين